Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, March 29th, 2021. I am Dave Biddle flying solo today. A lot to get into. Let's start with our VIP intel from Bucknuts over the weekend that CJ Stroud is the leader at the quarterback position for the Buckeyes. He is getting the majority of first-team reps. This spring, as our Patrick Murphy was first to report, he had a couple sources that gave him that information. I was able to subsequently confirm that with multiple sources that CJ Stroud is in fact the leader, and he's looking good, and he is getting most of the first team reps. Is Ryan Day going to announce that to the media, to the public? Absolutely not. We're going to get a chance to speak with Coach Day later today after practice, prior around 11:45 a.m. We will, of course, have video and stories on Bucknuts regarding what Coach Day has to say, and I'm sure he's going to be asked, as always, many questions about the quarterbacks. But is this good news? I would say yes. I mean, I like hearing it's not like CJ Stroud, from what I'm hearing, is getting this job by default if he wins the job. And again, he has not won the job yet. He is just the leader right now. And from all indications, the coaches are happy with all three of the scholarship quarterbacks. We look at Jack Miller, Kyle McCord, and CJ Stroud. So it sounds like CJ Stroud is just balling out, is what's going on, that he is just stepping up. As one guy said to Pat, one source said to Pat, he's a dude. The dude abides. I just added the dude abides in there. You got to get a Big Lebowski reference in there. But, this is exciting. If it is CJ Stroud, we're seeing the very, very beginning of the CJ Stroud era here at Ohio State. Wearing that number 7. That's been good to Ohio State quarterbacks over the years, beginning with Corny Green, Joe Germain, Dwayne Haskins. Yeah, it hasn't worked out so far for Dwayne Haskins in the NFL, but man, that was still the best passing season in Ohio State football history when Dwayne Haskins had 4,800 passing yards, a little north of 4,800 passing yards, which broke Joe Germain's record by 1,500 passing yards, and 50 touchdowns. 4,800 passing yards and 50 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And now he's with the Steelers, so I'm sure they'll find a way to turn his career around. But I'm excited about CJ Stroud, boys and girls. I think he is going to be really good, and I think he's going to be good right away. I don't think he's going to be great right away, but I think as a sophomore this year, I think he's going to be really good if he is able to win this starting job, and he is the leader right now. And we'll see how this plays out. Hopefully, we're going to get a chance as the media to see a practice in person, hopefully 2 practices, and then, of course, the spring game, and we'll see how these guys are looking. And again, we will speak with Coach Day later today around 11:45 a.m. Again, though, and you might be thinking, well, why doesn't Coach Day just say exactly what's on his mind? This is the pecking order, but it's a competition. I wouldn't. If I was the coach, I wouldn't tell the media. I'm sure I'd be honest with the young men themselves behind closed doors, but why tell the media? Why tell the public what's going on? You want to push this competition as long and as far as you can, and you don't want to anoint a starter right now. So I like what Coach Day is doing, and I like what I'm hearing about CJ Stroud. This is a young man that can make every throw on the field. He needed to get a little stronger. He has. He was about 200 pounds last year. He's up to about 210 right now, listed at 215. Every bit of 6'3". He's not a huge quarterback, but he's certainly big enough. He's like a tad bit bigger than Patrick Mahomes. I'm not comparing him to Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying, yeah, he's not 6'5", 230, but 6'3", 210. You'll take that all day long with this young man, the way he can throw the ball and the way he can run the ball and how smart he is. So I'm excited about CJ Stroud, but it's not over yet. Jack Miller is a really good quarterback. Kyle McCord, handpicked by Ryan Day when he could have had J.J. McCarthy and basically any quarterback he wanted to in that class, and he picked Kyle McCord. So it's going to be a good competition, but I found that interesting that Patrick reported that over the weekend, and I was able to confirm it, that right now CJ Stroud is your leader in the clubhouse. Speaking real quick, before we get to news about Henry 2020, the transfer from Tennessee, who's in the portal, the linebacker who it seems like it's down to Alabama and Ohio State to me. We're going to get to that in a second, but I want to touch on Justin Fields for a second. Speaking of former Ohio State quarterbacks, the San Francisco 49ers, Bucknutters, traded up to the number 3 pick, and I think they did that to get Justin Fields. I don't think they traded up to get Trey Lance or Mac Jones, and this is presuming that Trevor Lawrence goes first to Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Zach Wilson goes number 2 overall, although I think Justin Fields should go over Zach Wilson. It seems like every NFL draft analyst disagrees with me on that. They all have Zach Wilson ahead of Justin Fields, but man, that's going to be a great fit for Justin Fields if he goes to the 49ers. That Kyle Shanahan offense. I mean, they got to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. Think about that. They got to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. And, that's going to be exciting to watch when you have Nick Bosa on one side of the field and Justin Fields on the other. I hope that happens. That's going to be a lot of fun. As a Bengal fan, I don't really like the 49ers too much. Bengals got to the Super Bowl twice. Both times 49ers ripped our hearts out. Close games both times. And but tell you what, that'd be a great fit for Justin Fields, and I don't think he should slip any further than 3rd. I think he should be number 2 overall, and you can make an argument he should go number 1. But number 3 of the 49ers, that'd be a good fit for him for sure. And I think they traded up to get Justin Fields. That's going to be fun to follow. Okay, as promised, let's get into the transfer portal. Henry 2020. I think he's Ohio State bound, if I had to guess. I don't do the crystal ball, but if I was doing the crystal ball, I'd put mine in for Ohio State. Now, when it's Alabama or Ohio State, which it looks like it is, gives you a little trepidation. But I like where things stand. It sounds like he's going to visit Ohio State soon, and it sounds like he might be leaning toward Ohio State. That's just my conjecture. For those who don't know, Henry 2020, this will be his 3rd year in college football coming up. He was in the 2019 class. He was a very high 4-star prospect, almost a 5-star in the 2019 class. He was ranked as the number 3 outside linebacker and the number 44 overall prospect in the country in the 2019 class. Young man out of Concord, California, played the last couple of years at Tennessee, 6'2", 225 pounds. So we'll see what happens, but it sounds good. It sounds like Al Washington and Ryan Day and Mark Pantoni are, to the surprise of nobody listening to this podcast right now, are doing great work. And Henry 2020 could be a guy that could come in and be an impact player. There's no way he would transfer here if he wouldn't be a starter. I mean, there's just, again, that's another thing the coaches would never say publicly. It's like when Justin Fields came to Ohio State. Do you remember what, publicly what the narrative was? It was that Gunnar Hoke and Justin Fields were competing for the job. And again, I don't fault Ryan Day at all for that. But there's no way they're going to bring in Henry 2020 if he's not a starter. I mean, he's definitely going to be a starter if they bring him in. And it sounds pretty good to me. It sounds really good. So we'll see what happens with that. Again, Henry 2020, I think he's Ohio State bound. We will keep you posted on that. Bill Kurlick's all over it. Our national guys on 24/7 Sports are all over it. So keep it locked to Bucknuts for all that. Speaking of the transfer portal, for those that have listened to the show when I host Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I am convinced Ohio State's going to add a corner in the transfer portal this year. They're going to get a transfer to come in that's a corner. I don't know who it is, though. I don't know who it is, but I'm still convinced. And I think it's somebody who's not in the transfer portal yet, if I had to guess. Somebody who's going through spring ball right now who maybe decides it's time to step it up. And, much like Jonah Jackson did at Rutgers when and if you talk to Jonah Jackson, he wasn't unhappy at Rutgers. I mean, he liked it there. He was a Jersey guy. He felt bad leaving. He enjoyed his teammates, but he just thought, I can be a starter at a place like Ohio State. And it came down to Ohio State and Oklahoma. Ohio State was able to land Jonah Jackson. He became a starter. 3rd round draft pick by the Detroit Lions and started as left guard as a rookie. Now, is Ohio State going to get a guy that's going to be a 3rd round pick in the transfer portal at corner? I don't know, but I think they're going to get somebody who's at least going to be serviceable as a guy that's, at best the number 2 corner, at worst, like a guy that's going to add solid depth, a guy that's going to be in the rotation. I do think Seven Banks is the clear number 1, but with Cam Brown coming off that Achilles, I think they got to get somebody. And I'm bullish on Legend Cavazos and Ryan Watts and some of those guys. I think Legend Cavazos is a guy I think that's going to step up big time this year, and Ryan Watts, but they got to get somebody for depth. I mean, Cam Brown coming off that Achilles, that's arguably the worst injury you can come off of as an athlete, period. When you're talking, I mean, you'd rather have almost anything else ACL, you name it. I mean, there's like almost anything else, not anything, but almost anything else you'd rather have than a torn Achilles. So who knows if Cam Brown's going to be ready for the season, if he's going to be close to 100%, and just what he's going to look like in general. So I do think they're going to land a corner in the portal. So hopefully they land Henry 2020, and hopefully they land a corner, and that'll boost the talent right there for Kerry Combs and company. When you look at this silver bullet defense going into 2021, we talked about it. They were the number one total defense in the country. The Buckeyes were in 2019, fell to 56th in the country in total defense in 2020. Can they get back to being a top 20 defense? That's what I'm hoping. I think that's reasonable. I mean, you hope they're top 10, but if they can be a top 20 defense with this offense, I guarantee you this offense will be a top 10 offense, and I would bet anything top 5. If this defense can be top 20 in the country to go along with this high octane offense, it's going to be phenomenal. I mean, the Buckeyes are going to be really, really, really tough to beat. They're going to win the Big Ten again, and they're going to be really tough to beat in the college football playoff. But they got to prove it first. I mean, they're losing. They weren't that good on defense last year, and they're losing 6 starters off that defense, placing everybody at linebacker. A lot of question marks in the secondary. Although I will say this, I do like what I'm seeing at safety. I like what I saw at the end of the season with Josh Proctor and Lathan Ransom, and all signs are pointing to those guys have stepped up their game even more during spring ball. So that's great news right there when you look at Josh Proctor and Lathan Ransom at safety. All right, well, thank you for riding along with me on this solo venture of the Bucknuts Morning 5. I really appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great day. Let's hear that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.